Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 109 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, and welcome back to episode 109 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you are new here, hey, how are you? Welcome. I am so glad that you're here with us this week. And if you've been here before, you guys know the deal. I love you deep. Thank you so much for continuing to support. I really appreciate you coming back. I hope you continue to stay a while too. Before we get started with this week's episode, I want to make sure that I take the time to set the foundation. You guys know that I love to be very intentional, so I want to make sure that you know that we are building a safe space. And this safe space, this house that we are creating, is built on two really important things, and that is clarity and love. Clarity is pretty straightforward. I want you to understand that I created the Well Done Life podcast for women because I think that women need more safe spaces where we can be ourselves, our most authentic self too. I'm talking about having all of the good, the bad, the ugly talked about so that we can learn and grow together. I think that is going to be key to our growth because we are the foundation of society. We need to take opportunities to learn from each other. So this is what this space is for. And then that leads me into my favorite thing, and that is love. And everything that we do in this space is going to be rooted in love. Love is a thing. So I want you to know that in this space you are loved, and I want to make sure that I am sending you prayers. I want to send you prayers of peace. I definitely think peace is so important, especially right now because there is just so much going on in the world. We have seen, unfortunately, so many senseless shootings recently. There's so much political unrest. There's a lot economically that people are facing. I want you to be able to find pockets of peace wherever you are in the journey and recognize that your peace is still valuable and you have to preserve it at all cost. Along that line, I want you also to start taking the opportunity to start thinking about softness. I know for myself that is something that I am meditating on, returning back to my softness, thinking about how it's okay that I can allow people to come into my life and help me and when I need it, or to do things for me in a supportive way. I don't have to be the superhero for everyone. I think more women need to open themselves up to returning to that softness. It doesn't mean that we have to relinquish all of our power. We are still powerful no matter what. But we also have to create spaces where we can be soft, where we can be at rest, where we can be comforted, because that allows us to recharge and renew and be our best selves. And I'm going to talk more about softness next month. I think that is definitely going to be the theme. But I want us to start kind of, meditating on it, thinking about where in our lives we can start to make room for softness, because I think it's something that we need, especially with things just continuing to go on in the world. We need to be able to find spaces where we can just be. So I want you just to focus on just being. And then I also, along that line, want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself physically and mentally. Outside of the things that we have going on, health is still very critical. COVID hasn't disappeared. I just don't talk about it as much as I used to because it's kind of died down a bit, but it's still out here. And I'm seeing around the news that the cases are on the rise again. Be vigilant. Take care of yourself. That's all I really need to say at this point. We've been dealing with it for so long. I see people getting sick all the time, and they're getting it multiple times, and then I hear stories about long haulers version. So I'm just praying for you good health. I'm praying for you mental health as well, because like I said, there's just so much out there, and I really hope that you find your pockets of peace wherever you decide they are. I definitely am very excited about being back this week. It has definitely felt good to kind of be back in the mix. I know I took a week off, and I want to thank everyone for their encouragement, because sitting in stillness has been something also that I am meditating on, and it has been nice. I've needed to sit still. I've had a lot going on, and I think we all have those spaces too, where we just need to sit still. So I am also sending you prayers of stillness, but I want to thank you guys for allowing me my moments of stillness. And I will take more moments of that because my mental and physical health is so important to me now. And I just really know that in order to be my best version of me, there are times where I have to just get very silent. So I value those, I honor those, and I hope that you're able to find those as well. But I want to thank you for your encouraging words on my post announcing it. It really helped make me see that, yes, there are more wonderful women out here claiming stillness in their lives as well and enjoying their time and preserving their energy because we deserve it. But this week, I am back with a wonderful guest. I am very excited to introduce Vernelia McKnight of Share the Tea with V podcast and Share the Tea with V Tuesdays as well. She is an amazing lady. And so I don't want to belabor the point. I want us to go ahead and dive into our conversation. It was great. Please, quick PSA. I hope the sound quality is not too bad. Please forgive me. My computer decided tonight that she wanted to run the fan and I wasn't aware. We had a few technical issues and Vernelia was so wonderful to me to be flexible about the time, and we had an amazing conversation. So I hope you can just see past or hear past the fan and get something out of the conversation because it was great. She is an amazing woman, and I definitely hope you enjoy the conversation, and I promise next week I will make sure my fan is not going. So thank you, and I will talk to you guys at the end of our conversation. So if you will stand by, she will be with you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone. Hello, I'm Vernelia McKnight, and my podcast is Share the Tea Tuesdays with Share the Tea with V. And Ms. Pamela, I'm so excited to be here, a little excited and nervous at the same time, but I do appreciate the love, definitely.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and please do not be nervous, honey. We are in this together. Okay. I promise. This is about having a great conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
So, if you don't mind me asking, and I don't think I really got a chance to ask you too much about it, like when we first connected, how did you get started on this journey?
On the podcast journey or on Share the Tea journey? And I guess it's two different journeys there.
It's funny how I originally wrote the question was, how did you get started on this journey of intention? Because it seems to me like you're on a very intentional journey. So I should have probably stuck with my original question. How did you get started on this journey of intention?
Well, it's a loaded question, so it's okay. Let's see, how do I say this? I think there's no other way to say it but to say it bluntly. But to start on this journey, I am an ovarian cancer survivor. And so in the midst of my process of healing and trying to understand, where all this came from, I learned so much information, and I felt that this information should be shared with other people. And when information is not shared with other people, people can be, I don't want to say closed-minded, but they can feel like they don't have resources. And so that's kind of where I felt, when I was going through my journey. And so I just talked to a couple of people. I'm always cooking and sharing recipes and all this. And so it just kind of came to me that I should just share the tea. And that's how that happened. And someone said, oh, yeah, Share the Tea with V, because most people call me V. And I said, oh, yeah, I think that works. And so that's pretty much how it started. And it just came to me as a vision. And for a while, I just kind of brushed it off and was like, okay, this is just something that I'm probably just playing around with. It's nothing really serious. But as time grew on, it kept popping up in my head. And there was confirmation after confirmation after confirmation. And so I said, okay, let me go ahead and jump out. And here I am. Literally a year or so later doing this Share the Tea with V, and then the podcast with Share the Tea Tuesdays was pretty much formed. And that's kind of, and I do have those eyes, because you did say something about intentional. And so on my social media, I'm always stating that it's intentional, impactful, and insightful. Because anything that I'm sharing with you, it's something that you can either learn, you can gain, and it's definitely always going to be positive. So that's my primary focus.
I love it. And I mean, the intention was just all wrapped up in that. I mean,
Yes.
like you said, it was something that you had been dreaming about and thinking about, and the signs started leading you. Even when you weren't ready to pull the trigger,
Right.
you were still getting the signals. So I love that. That totally shows it's all wrapped up in intention.
Mm-hmm.
As you were going through, and obviously, as an ovarian cancer survivor, what is one thing that you learned on that journey that has prompted you to where you are right now?
Ooh. Well, I would say that you always advocate for yourself. And when I say that, that's kind of a loaded question. I mean, a loaded statement. But when I say advocate for yourself, sometimes you're not for sure of what the diagnosis mean. You're going to be fearful of what all is entailed as far as your treatment plan, like your medical treatment plan. Just trying to get an understanding of where all of this come from, because in my case, it wasn't genetics. So to me, I felt like I needed some type of answers. I needed something to give me some type of solution or resolution or something, so I can feel comfortable with the journey that I'm on. So I would really say mainly to advocate for your health, because to be truthful, I mean, just to give you a little bit of backstory. I don't know if that's one of your questions, but just to give you a little bit of backstory, I discovered my own mass, and just by losing a couple of pounds. And so, as women, we get in the mirror and be like, oh, okay, I just have, oh, look at that, it's going down. And that's and that's pretty much what I was doing, just playing around in the mirror. And I said, well, wait, this is not moving. What is this? It doesn't feel like, not to be offensive to anyone, but it doesn't feel like fat, and it's not moving in like it normally does. Uh-huh. And so I said, I had told my husband about it, and he said, well, maybe you need to go to the doctor and get that checked out. And I said, okay, yeah, you're probably right. I need to see what is it. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much how it all started in a nutshell. So just being able to, because just imagine if I just would have ignored it,
Right.
Always just nothing. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Because I hate to say, as a lot of times, like you mentioned, we're focused on losing weight, not on, because you think obviously losing weight is the key to health. So you're not as focused on other things that may be going on. So it was great that you caught that. If you don't mind me asking, when you caught it, were you able to catch it early? Hopefully. Yes. Oh, good.
Yes. Yes. With ovarian cancer, it's called a silent killer, because once most women that are diagnosed with ovarian cancer are usually in a late stage. So they're in the stages of 3 or 4. And so usually when you're in the stage of 3 or 4, the survival rate is much lower, because it has spread it to your abdominal walls. And so I was able to catch mine early, and it was stage 1C. So mainly it was confined in my ovaries.
I see.
So.
Oh, wow. And so how long has it been since you've been cancer-free?
Well, May 10th, I just celebrated my 3-year anniversary. So
congratulations.
3 years.
So excited for you.
Yes. I'm excited. And I just finished my Outpace cancer race through the Stevenson Cancer Center. That's who did my treatments and things. And so I always just kind of give back. And ever since then, I just participated in that cancer race. And that's just a token for me. And I volunteered, and it was fun.
I love that. Because it's funny. I was going to ask you, since your word or one thing that you've learned is about advocating for your health, how has advocacy now become a part of your life?
Ooh. How much time do you have? Yeah.
Tell me what you got.
Well, it's funny because I really feel like I was born to advocate. And that's just something that's been in my spirit. I've always had a big soul, or big, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say intuition to help people. I've always wanted to help someone. It doesn't matter what they're doing or where they're going, what they're going through. And so in my career, I'm a mental health therapist. And so, with that role, there's a lot of advocating, speaking up for people that are not able to speak for themselves, and encouraging others and all of that. And so in this role of advocacy, I've become a ovarian cancer research alliance. It's called OKRA for short, but I became an advocacy leader, and that started 2020 is when. It was me and one of my other friends named Tara. So we pretty much represent the state of Oklahoma with the Ovarian Cancer Research Alliance. And as far as being advocacy leaders, we go to the Capitol Hill and we talk to our Congress and talk to them about making sure that we're getting funding for women's health, especially within ovarian cancer. Because like I said, it's a silent killer, and mostly you only hear about breast cancer. Right. And so you don't hear about everything else. And for me, I didn't know anything about ovarian cancer. So it's pretty much going to Uncle Google and asking him questions of trying to get an understanding. You know what I mean?
Yes, Uncle Google will scare you to death. That'll have
right.
It's over, yeah.
It's true. Yes. Yeah. So advocacy has really expanded for me, as far as being a leader with OKRA. And then I just recently became a board of advocacy leader with the Stevenson Cancer Center. And so I do that as far as making sure that we're getting information out to the people in the community of Oklahoma. I live in Oklahoma. And so just making sure that they are aware that there are resources available at the Stevenson Cancer Center. So it has really expanded, to be honest. And even with Share the Tea, I find myself doing a lot of advocacy, making sure that people are taking care of themselves, that they have the information that they need to know. And if they don't have the information, then at least let's go somewhere where we can find that information or resources. Yeah.
I love that, because I think that there is such a lack of information, like you said, about for women's health in general. Right. And yes, you focus on the big ones. Breast cancer and all those, but ovarian cancer, you're right. You don't really hear about it. I hate to say it, maybe I'm dating myself, but I feel like it was more of a popular conversation. I have to admit, probably in the early 90s, mid to late 90s. Okay. And then as we have started to progress, because I think about it, I had just graduated from college, and I used to work for a large company after college. And one of my colleagues, unfortunately, she got ovarian cancer, and she battled it, and she was in remission. But then I think about 3 to 5 years later, unfortunately, she got it again, and she wasn't able to overcome it that time, and she unfortunately passed away. But it was like, at that point in time, unfortunately, I was hearing more conversations of women being impacted with it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden the shift went to breast cancer, and you're right, you just didn't hear about it as much. So I think it's great that you are utilizing your journey to being able to advocate more. Yes. And I could definitely see how advocacy is such a part of your life. And as a mental health therapist, how do you find the balance of being able to advocate for others while trying to advocate for yourself?
That is a struggle. That is a struggle. And I actually learned back in, I want to say 2004, maybe 2004, 2005, that I have to make sure that the work stays at work. Because at times I would take things home. I would still be working on things. It'll be 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And I would literally just neglect myself, where I'm not doing things that I enjoy doing because I'm busy taking care of everybody else. And so I really had to learn that balance a long time ago. And other therapists and supervisors pretty much molded me to understand, like, hey, you can't work harder than your client, because it's really up to them to do the work that they need to do. If they want it, they will do it.
Absolutely. I agree. Sometimes it's like you have to be an actively engaged person. But so I'm glad that you were able to separate that. When you were going through your treatments, were you still working at the same time?
Well, I didn't go back to work until, I'm trying to remember, was it April?
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it was April, because just to give you a little snippet. So, after I discovered the cancer, I mean the mass, I should say, I discovered the mass, and then they did their whole ultrasound and all that. That's when the pain kicked in. So I had to have surgery. My first surgery was December 26th, and they were just removing the cyst. And so I was just supposed to go back to work within, what was it, like a month? I want to say maybe 6 weeks, maybe 4 to 6 weeks. I was supposed to go back to work. Anyway, so then come January 2nd of 2019, that's when he called and said, Happy New Year, you have cancer. So at that time, I was already recovering from the other surgery. So now I have to brace myself, because you're talking about I have cancer and all this other stuff. So it kind of just snowballed to where I had to go through FMLA and all these things. And, you only have so much time for that. So about time it was time for me to go back to work, I was still in the process of healing, and I was going through chemo. And with me working at a hospital, because, hospital was never closed.
Right.
So I had to be mindful of my interaction with my patients, and so I was mainly just restricted to my office. So yeah, I was still working, and I had 3 rounds of chemo, so I had 2 more about time I went back to work. So yeah.
How did, in the midst of all that, how were you functioning?
I was exhausted. When
I was gonna say, I was tired of you explaining that. And I could only imagine going through chemo at the exact same time. How were you doing that?
To be truthful, by the grace of God, the grace of God, that's all that I can literally say. I was exhausted. Going through chemo takes a lot out of you. Your appetite's not really there. Everything tastes like metal or plastic. And so it was kind of really hard for me to figure out what I wanted to eat, but I was making sure that I was trying to eat something. So, because you have to keep your white cell counts and all those things elevated, or because if they drop, then your treatment will get, pushed back. So, yeah, so it was a journey, and I had to remind myself that it's okay to rest. Mm-hmm. I was eager to try to do things around the house, simple things like laundry or washing dishes and all that, and I couldn't do it. It was times where I would start the water to wash dishes, and then I had to sit down. And then I'll go and try to wash some dishes, and then I had to sit down. And, my family, they were over here all the time. My mom and dad, and of course, my husband lives here, but they always said, sit down. Don't do nothing. You know how you get in trouble and they said, get
yes.
over there. That's how.
Oh, I think that's great, because it's funny, many of us, I know myself included, we will push ourselves to exhaustion.
Right.
Even when we are sick, just so that we can keep everything going in the household, make sure we're being, feeling vital and connected. I personally feel like that is a side of our too much control. We just want to control every situation.
Yes.
Versus being able to sit down and just let somebody take care of us.
Yes.
So do you feel like, kind of like what I was talking about in the intro, do you feel like that moment, even when you were ill, going through, did it teach you to be soft?
Oh, yes. It did. And it taught me that when you need some help, it's okay for people to help you. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't make you look any less of a person. It doesn't take your value away because your body is recovering, and it's okay for you to have that moment where you need to sit down and just relax. So yeah, that was hard for me because I'm not a person that usually ask for help, and I don't want to say I have to swallow my pride, but pretty much it is, you have to be like, okay, I really need to ask somebody for help. Like, hey, Mom, can you come do this? Or, Dad, can you do this part for me or something? Because, you can't do any lifting.
Right.
So, and you're always trying to do things or push things. And yeah, so yeah, I would really say that's a struggle. And I think that's a struggle for any woman. We're taught to be independent, and so it's already mentally molded in our head that, hey, this is what you need to do, and you need to make some sacrifices to get there. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those sacrifices are at the expense of our health or our sanity if we're not very careful.
Very much so.
I'm glad that you began your soft journey there. Mm-hmm. With that and everything that you have been through, what would you say, or would you say, is there any part of your journey that you would change?
I thought about that. What was that, last week? The week before? Anything that I would change? And I would really say probably no. Because everything that was meant to happen was meant to happen. Right. I don't have it. I don't mind it. I hope it's okay if I share this, but I don't have any children.
And I don't either. It's okay.
And so it was, it's been a rough journey for my husband and I for us to have kids.
I see.
And so there were times where I was pregnant, and then, I lost the baby, and after the last one, I just said, you know what, Lord, just heal my womb. And I just left it just like that. I said, heal my womb, because something is going on that I don't know what it is, but evidently something is happening. And so whatever it is, I need for you to heal me. And then I know that once you heal me, I'll be okay. And I left that prayer just like that. And so I always tell people to be careful what you pray for.
Yes.
Because, honey, whatever you pray for, you're going to get it. You may not get it the way that you think that you're going to get it. Because my mind was, okay, I'm 2018, I'm starting to lose weight, I'm about to be pregnant, 2019, yep, I'm about to be knocked up. This is me. This is my whole mindset. Yes. And then it's like, no, ma'am. And so as being a woman and being a Black woman, we want to have children and we want to reproduce for our husbands. Mm-hmm. And so that was really a big struggle for me. They did ask me that question when they were, telling me, what they're going to do to my surgery and all this. Mm-hmm. And they asked me that question, do you want to preserve your eggs? And I'm like, well, no, what am I going to do with them after you take everything out of me? And what do you call it? Surrogacy and IVF and all those other things. That stuff is expensive. Yeah. It's expensive. And so I just said, no, it's okay. Just to let it go. But that's been one thing that's been a little, well, I shouldn't say a little, it's been a struggle for me with accepting that I can't reproduce for my husband. But, when you have that discussion with him, and when I had the discussion with him, it just made me understand, it's not just about that. I prefer for you to be here than the other,
Yeah.
So, but let me stop. I know I could talk.
No, I was gonna say I totally understand what you're saying. I think all of us at some point in time, whether if we don't become mothers, have thought about having children. So I just want to say, I think that you being able to even ask God to heal your womb and just leaving it, letting it go, knowing how everything was going to be, I think that's an act of strength.
Definitely.
Because it is hard. Because don't get me wrong. Like I said, I don't have children, but it was not like I never wanted them. It's just I've had fertility issues that I got diagnosed with even when children weren't an option. I was told I would have to have I would have to take Clomid or some type of medication to be able to jumpstart my ovaries enough to be able to have children. So that was always something hanging over my head. But I understand where you're talking about getting to a point where you make peace with it.
Right.
It's not an easy peace.
Yeah, not
easy. It's not. And I think the fact that you were so transparent with your journey is so important because other women, we need to hear that. It's not.
Right.
It's not. Outside of the ovary issues, like I said, I just personally never came across anyone who was worth being the baby daddy.
Okay.
That was just to add, I guess, a little extra bit of context color. No,
right.
I was not going to be tied to you for the next 18 to 21 years of the rest of my natural life. Knowing damn well, you gotta know. But you got the right person. So I understand what you're saying. For those of us out here, put that PSA out there. If you know he's not the right person, girl, it's a favor.
Don't do it.
It's a favor. So how did you seek any help making in processing that journey?
Now that's a good question because now I already told you I'm a therapist, right?
I know, that's why I had to ask you.
And they didn't recommend it, but they said if you need it, it's here. And so I said, okay, well, thank you. No, I'm fine. And so no, I didn't. And that probably would have been my biggest regret to go ahead and seek some counseling then, because truthfully, it's trauma, that you're going through. Your whole entire world changed, let alone your body. With me being a fresh 40, I'm being forced into menopause. So it's like, what, so I would say that's something that I need. And to this day, I still know that I need to go ahead and seek some counseling. Just to be able to process through that. There are times where if I see so many people pregnant, I'm like, oh, it's just too much. And I love children. I love children to death. Like if I see anybody's cute kid or, I'm very animated with children, and children always flock to me. So, that's an issue too. But I know that I need to seek it. I really do. I just haven't done it yet. And so my husband said, you need to go ahead and do it. So I'm going to do it. And you just put a reminder on me. Go ahead and get that done.
Well, I hope you do. I know it's hard unlocking those boxes. Because once you put stuff in a box, it can creep out. But once you go to therapy, it's like you gotta fully open that box. I've been in therapy myself, and I know it's hard. So do what you feel led to do, but I would sincerely think that would help you, because I agree, you have such a beautiful soul, and I don't want you to feel heal that trauma. As Black women, we have to encourage each other to heal our traumas.
True, that is true.
So kind of starting to pivot, I guess, a little bit, because I really want to talk a little bit more too about Shirley T with V, but I do have one question. With everything, because ma'am, you're such a light. You really are.
Well, thank you.
How do you keep yourself intentional? how do you stay so positive every day?
The first thing in my head is I was born this way.
Get it, girl. That's right. Tell them yes. You were born.
I was born this way. I asked what was my blood type, and my blood type is B positive, and so I was like, oh, it just runs through my blood.
Okay. Oh, I love that. Yes, it's in her blood, honey.
Yes. I've always been a humble person, and so because at any time, at any moment, things could change in a blink of an eye. And so I always try to put my best foot forward and, make positive decisions and look at things on the good foot, because at any moment it could change. And so I probably want to say that that's due to my upbringing with my mom. And because when I received that phone call, she was the first person that I called, and I could barely get my words together. And when she came over here, she said, honey, where is your faith? Mm. And I said, Mama, I know. She said, no, you don't. Mm. She said, because you're already feeling like you're doomed. You're already feeling like you're going to die. You don't even know what all is about to happen. And you're already setting yourself up for failure. So where is your faith? And my mom is real stern. She's one of them old school teachers. She still teaches to this day. And when she said that, I said, okay, Mom. She said, do you have faith in God? And I said, yes. And she said, but if you have faith in God, you have to understand that you're going to be okay. Regardless of what happens, you're going to be okay. So I want to say that's where that comes from. I've always been an optimistic person. And don't get me wrong, we are going to have some bad days and,
right.
some weary days. But I always try to look at things on the other foot, because it's easy for us to go down that negative road. And once you start going down that negative road, it's really hard for you to backtrack. Sometimes you have to have somebody that can take you off of that negative road so you won't go too far, because it's easy to get lost, on that road. So,
oh, absolutely.
I hope that answered the question. I don't know if that answered.
I think it did, because I mean, one, give all praise and reverence to praying grandmothers, praying mamas, the ancestors covering us in everything that we do. Thank God.
Yes.
Because that is a soul stirring moment to just say, where is your faith? I mean, that's a centering. So I think obviously your mother centers you, but the fact that you said it's in your blood. Like, you're not going to let things get you down. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of glad that you said it the way that you did, because I think sometimes what we have to be careful of, especially nowadays, is toxic positivity, where people act like, everything is roses and just wonderful all the time. And it's not. It's like you're showing I'm positive, but at the same time, I'm going through this, I'm going through that, and I'm trying to make it. And I'm tapping into my faith and my family as my center. So I have all respect for that. So no, I really feel like you answered that question very well.
Okay.
So
great.
So are you still learning? How are you still learning right now?
My mom says you learn something all the time. You're never too old to learn something new.
Right.
So yes, I'm always learning. With starting this Share the Tea with V, I've learned so much, especially trying to turn it into a brand and being business minded. It's like, whoa, okay, this is where we're going with this. Okay, I got you. So yes, always learning new things, especially in regards to health and food, changing my lifestyle and my interaction and my relationship with food. So I
love it.
That's a big one. Yeah.
I totally love it. And it's so funny because that was a perfect transition into Share the Tea with V. So what made you decide that, okay, I'm going to start a podcast? Like, how did you decide that was how Share the Tea would be was going to get started?
Well, I think it was because of the small business portion of
Okay.
it. And I want to say it's a two-part. So one, the small business, and then secondly, about nonprofit organizations. I go to a lot of trainings and I listen to a lot of webinars. And so when you get all this information, like, oh, wait, I need to, it's a lot to try to process. Yes. And so I said, I need to have them come and talk to me and maybe I can do this podcast thing. And so that's how that all started. And to be truthful, I went to Google and
it's okay. Google's the universal friend.
Yes, it is. And they had so many options on there. I said, okay, I can't figure this out. And I just brushed it off. I just pushed it to the side and I left it alone. And it was maybe like a couple weeks later, it came back to me again. I said, oh, okay. And I think the third time I was talking to she's one of my sorority sisters, but she's a good friend of mine. And I've been knowing her since she was 12. So I'm kind of like a mentor for her. She just happened to call me and we've been talking for a long time. And towards the end, she just said, hey, V, are you following me on my podcast? And I said, what podcast? And that's how it started. And I said, well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I've been trying to figure out how to even get started. And I'm just getting frustrated with reading so much. I just said, I pushed it aside. She said, oh, it's easy. I said, easy. And she told me what to do. She said, XYZ, get on here, plug this up. It's free. You can share it everywhere. I said, oh, okay. And as soon as I got off the phone, I think I was up to like midnight doing that. And my husband was like, okay, are you going to go to bed now? I'm like, wait. I'm almost through. So that's how Share the Tea with Me started, and Share the Tea Tuesdays, because I made it, Share the Tea Tuesdays. Right. So my podcast is on every Tuesdays where I just I talk about some personal things. Sometimes there are some mental health issues that come out and, just talking about being able to take care of yourself. I've done things as far as like suicide awareness and, making sure you're reaching out to people. And then also I have like small businesses. So anyone that has a small business, I always like to know, especially if they're a new entrepreneur, like how did your dream come into this empire now? And just kind of sharing that because it's really cool to follow different people that have different outlooks on things and just get to know them personally.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. There's just so much that you can uncover in the podcasting space. So it definitely is quite a world that you can get into. So that's really cool. So I understand those starts. I had a messy start too. Call it a messy, beautiful start. But hey, you didn't give up. You did
right.
It. And you kept going. And that's what matters.
Yes.
Why did you select Tuesday as your day? Is there any special reason why you do Tuesdays?
I think I was trying to rhyme, Share the Tea. Share the Tea Tuesdays. Yeah.
Hey.
I was just trying to rhyme something and yeah.
It's cute. It's catchy. There's nothing wrong with that. Because hey, as a content creator, it is a struggle to try to come up with the right catch and just try to get people's attention. So right, I love it. Right. I just wanted to ask because I was like, is there a special meaning behind it? But that's a perfect meaning as well. Now that you've kind of been in the podcasting game for a little bit, what is one thing that you have learned since you've been here?
Well,
I'm gonna add a little sauce to that question.
Oh,
what's one thing that just a little sauce? What's one thing that you've learned about yourself since you've become a podcaster?
Oh, well, let me see. One thing I've learned about myself. I learned that it comes naturally after I've started, because always at the beginning I'm nervous and I'm getting a little goofy. But then, once I get started, I'm like, whew, okay, things are just flowing. I feel pretty good. So that's one thing that I've really learned. And to be truthful, my original career goal was to become a journalist. And so it's kind of like you're pretty much doing that in a nutshell. So it's kind of funny that it kind of comes back around in a circle. But that would be one thing that I've learned. Like, it's just it comes natural, and it's really fun. Like, it's really fun when you have the little music going and, the little lights and all that stuff.
Yes, because y'all, she has like a full-on production. When I was on her show, like, she has a production. My audience, y'all know, I'm just giving y'all this audio. I might try to throw a little video on YouTube. It's suspect, because I could only commit to one thing at a time. Like, I can't.
Right,
like, I can't.
right.
I can give you good content and good audio, video, lights. I gotta work my way in. I gotta work my way into it. But I love how you have it, like, your production. And you take pride in it. And I love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is awesome. So, and now I wasn't going to ask, but since this is new information, okay, so how did you go from, you're doing mental health, but you were originally going to be a journalist. Why didn't you become a journalist?
Well, I think it was an intern. Was it an intern? Yes. I did some interning at the Daily Oklahoma, which is like the big newspaper company.
Oh, okay,
and they did like a tour. And so I remember them telling us that, when you're trying to interview someone, you have to be pushy. They may not want to answer that question, but you have to get that answer, and you may have to ask them multiple times. And I remember that I went home to my mom and said, I'm not about to force somebody to answer me. I don't, like, if you don't want to answer, that's fine. And so I think that's just, that's where that whole shift was like, nah, okay.
Because you're like, I'm not asking nobody multiple times.
Right.
Answer me okay. I see.
Right. I don't want to be pushy, because I can understand if someone doesn't feel comfortable answering something, just respect their space, It may be a trigger for them. So that's just been my take. So it's changed.
I can imagine, because I was going to say, excuse me, I just think that is so ironic, because as a podcaster, and I'm sure even as a mental health therapist, you have to ask sometimes questions in multiple ways to elicit the answer that you want.
Yes.
So you are naturally already doing what you said that you never want to do. And I would never call it being pushy. It's just like, look, I like to call it the finesse. You got to finesse your way through to get the answer that you want.
I like that. Yeah, definitely.
So that is definitely super cool. So I have another question too. I have just a few more before we wrap up.
Okay.
So you're a survivor,
yes,
an advocate for women's health, a content creator, just to name a few of your titles. So what's one title that you would use to describe yourself and on the journey that you're on right now?
Ooh. Did you say one word?
Yeah, one title, one word. So I've described you. You're a survivor, an advocate for women's health, a content creator, and those are just a few of the titles that I found about you. Obviously, you're also an advocate for women's health, like we talked about. What's one other thing that you would add to your list of titles about you right now, based upon where you are in your journey?
Well, this word always sticks out to me,
okay.
And so I'm just going to say determined.
Okay. Determined.
I'm very determined. My pastor calls me bold. So
okay. Ooh, I love that. Bold. You better be bold.
Yeah.
Bold women make history. So
right. That is true. That is true. So
okay.
I would say determined. Just determined to get what I need to get done.
Okay.
And making some type of impact, whether it's big or small.
I love it.
That would be my,
I definitely can see that you will make an impact. I guess my other two questions before we wrap up are, one, how can we support you? Because that's what the space is about. We want to support you. So tell us, how can we support you?
Well, I have a couple of things up my sleeve, and I don't know if can I share a special announcement?
Absolutely. You can share whatever you like, honey. This is your time. You're bold.
Well, I wanted to say that as of yesterday, I did get Share the Tea and Share the Tea Tuesdays. I actually have it trademarked. And I'm so excited. Like,
nice. So excited for you. That is so important. And on content creation side, like, I hope people are paying attention to that.
Yes, big time. And there was a young man named Apollo, and he owns OKC Black Eats, who basically said, I know that you're starting off and you're wanting to turn this into a brand, because I had explained it to you. And so he said, make sure that you go and get it trademarked. At least start within your state, and then you can do it federally. Right. And so I took that advice, and I tell you, it was just so, I don't even know how to explain it. I just felt like this is what God wanted me to do. There are so many people that have encouraged me, and people that I've met along the way, and throughout, because I love to network, if you can tell. So with that information that I receive from everyone, it pretty much helps me to get to where I need to go. Because with Share the Tea, when you're trying to think of what should you do, how should you do it, I always just refer back to, this is a vision that I've received, and I know where this vision is coming from. I know who gave it to me, which is God, and so I know that He's going to guide me along the way. Even if I don't know what I'm doing and I'm gonna mess it up, it's okay. So, so yes, I'm on all social media channels, just about all of them except for Snapchat. I don't do the chat.
That's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay. I don't do the Snapchat anyway. I like TikTok, but I don't post. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, TikTok will take up all of your time. Yeah. So
yeah.
But yeah, so I'm on all social media platforms, and if you're able to support me, I would love your support. I'm always posting a variety of things. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I really focus on Till Tuesday and Till Thursdays, which pretty much focuses on ovarian cancer awareness. So I highlight a Till sister that's either currently fighting their battle with ovarian cancer, or if someone has passed from ovarian cancer, then I honor them. And then there's also times where if there's nonprofit organizations that focus on cancer treatments or cancer awareness, I always highlight them on either Tuesday or Thursday. So those are just a little bit of my things that I do. And I've also started this Cooking with V. I know I'm doing so much, but
you got cooking too? Okay, yes, talk about it.
Cooking with V, because I love to cook, girl. Look, I'm from the South, so I'm actually from Memphis, Tennessee. So
okay. Oh, then you can burn.
Yes. So I know how to cook all the time, and so I just kind of like to start showing people how to prepare meals. I'm really into like meal prepping, just which can definitely help if you're trying to lose weight or trying to watch your portion control. Mm-hmm. And so my first one with Cooking with V, I think it was last month. Yeah.
Okay.
With Cooking with V, it was my husband's idea because he loves my burritos. And so he still eats ground beef every now and then. And so I'm kind of vegan-ish where, I still eat chicken and fish. But so I've made it to where you have vegan burritos, and then you also have regular burritos, just to show people how to do things differently and to try something new. Try something new. You never know if you like it. And just explore your taste buds. So Cooking with Confidence is my focus there. So,
awesome.
Yeah. So
I like that.
Well, thank you. And lastly, like I said, I'm turning this into a brand. So I do have some shirts that are coming out. I haven't released them yet, and I'm excited about them because they're really cute. Like, okay, Share the Tea.
Yes, because people love the tea, honey.
Right.
Not just to drink it, but we love some good piping hot information.
Definitely.
Oh, awesome. Well, I will make sure I share all of your social information in the show notes for everybody.
Okay.
So that way we can support and follow you. And then I'm going to try to make another connection. But we'll talk about that after we wrap up. So I just really want to say thank you so much for being on my podcast this week. You are a light, and you are just a beacon of positivity and hope, and just sharing so much of yourself for women and your journey. So I just really appreciate you, and I want to thank you for coming.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Thank you, Miss Pamela. I appreciate it. I enjoyed myself. I know time flew by fast, didn't it?
Don't it though? It just, hey, that's what a good conversation that makes me know I did the right thing. Good.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So I want to thank Vernelia again for coming on. It was so nice to talk with her. She is such a light. She has quite a testimony, and I definitely see her as being a strong beacon for women's health, as well as just mental health in general, and just being able to show the different aspects that we go through as women. So I hope you really enjoyed the conversation today. I'll have all of her information in the show notes, along with mine. Please don't hesitate to give me feedback, like, share, or subscribe. I will definitely be back next week. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.